our sales cell phone.
What are you establishing for sales goals for him for month 1, month 3, month 6, month 12?
Month 1, his goal is $5,000. Month 2, his goal is $10,000 because that's where he evens out on his draw. Month 3, we expect him to get to 20, and we told him by month 4 he needed to be at a $30,000 per month roll rate.
How much of the leads coming in are you filtering to him?
We are filtering. Right now, we're giving him the leads that we think he can handle.
Okay.
So it sort of depends on the mix of leads. But I sort of made the decision that in the beginning, I did not want to filter too many leads to him because I wanted him to have an understanding that the majority of his job was going to be him having to develop his own business. And in this first week and a half, I think it's actually worked out pretty well. We also set an expectation in these first 2 months that it was going to be tough and there was going to be a lot of positive reinforcement from customers so that he wouldn't get discouraged early on. The fact that he's exceeded those expectations is a bonus, but I tried to set some low expectations for that first little while just because since he has no sales experience, for practical matters, I was concerned about, a week in, him getting discouraged.
Hey, Mark, how does the process work when he actually brings in an order? And is he managing that project from the time he gets it until it's completed within your shop and it's installed, or is he handing that off to your internal folks?
Jim, the answer is that he hasn't technically brought a job in yet, but the plan, so we haven't tested it yet, but the plan right now is that he will be responsible for the communications with the customer, but he won't be project managing the project, though he will have project responsibilities. So he'll take the estimate to the customer, which in a couple of cases now, 3 cases now, he's already done. He'll communicate back the feedback from the customer. We'll help coach him through the sales process and so forth and so on. When the customer eventually gives him the deposit and signs the estimate, he'll bring it back here. And then he will fit it into, at that point, he'll fit it into our process. Wendy really my wife, for those who don't know, really project manages our projects, and she will project manage his as well. The difference will be that he will have all of the communication with the customer back and forth. So we will communicate with him and he will communicate with the customer so that he continues to be the face of Resource for Signs, and he's the one that will know the customer best. He will collect the final payment. He will check in on the customer. He will be the one that answers our questions as we get through the project or goes and gets the answers from the customer. So I would not call it project managing, but I would call it customer care.
Now, will he generate the estimate, or is that something you'll do internally? He'll bring
No, the way we have it set up right now is that for several reasons, one of which is we only have one serious license, so it gets a little bit onerous, to have him doing things. But what we are doing is he is the one that will be doing all of the initial data entry into Sirius, but Wendy will be generating the actual estimates for the time being. Now, some of that will change when we pick up the second license, which as soon as things appear like they're going to work out, we will do. That's one of them, and one of the measuring points. And the other one is as he gets more comfortable with how this all works and with the guidelines that he's been given and he understands it better, some of that responsibility, as I said earlier, down to some sort of sales representative floor in terms of pricing, he'll be given the responsibility and the ability to generate his own estimates to a certain point for certain kinds of projects.
Mark, one of the procedures I had with my salespeople was, and they had a lot of flexibility in their estimating and their quoting with customers, but they had to, on a monthly basis, for every quote that was priced under regular pricing, and I gave them some flexibility down below normal, but there was still a basement. They had to offset that with other quotes and other orders that made sure that the total was at or above regular price list.
Right.
So that they know they have some flexibility in there, but they also have some accountability that long term they can just go hunt for the cheap ones, that they have to offset it so that we maintain our margins overall.
Hey, Jack, what was the ramifications if they didn't do that?
Well, it was number one, every quote that they did, I actually, if they sold below price list, there was a cut in their commission. And there was a bonus if they sold above. But also the accountability that if they didn't maintain it, it became a mentality. It wasn't a reprimand, but it became a mentality that you better be at and above.
You know, we have unofficially done something similar, although I like the accountability and I like the empowerment of giving them the ability to balance it out with other projects, which I hadn't thought about. But part of the program is that if he goes below, if we choose to go below a certain level in terms of profit, that he will have the option of participating in the decision about whether or not that is business that is worth taking, and he'll have the opportunity to decide whether or not that business is worth a lower commission and the work that's going to be involved.
You know, I think it's valuable because it allows them to posture with customers and yet understand that there's ramifications of it. If they have a reduction in their commissions, they're going to realize the impacts that it has.
Well, I think it also gives them a little bit of courage. You know, as I said to him early on, 8% of $100 is a lot better than 10% of $0. But 10% of $100 is better than 8% of $100. So I think one of the things that it does is it gives them the courage to, in that intermediate step, to hold their line a little bit, and that extra step to see what the customer is going to do before they just automatically give in. And there's been a lot of conversation about how we give in here, you know, and how we try to alter the project as opposed to just actually reducing the price appropriately. But I agree. I think when there's a ramification to them, that it emboldens them with a little bit more courage, at least on that intermediate step before the final deal is done.
You know, and to your question there, Tim. You know, if we, and I don't remember the numbers, so I apologize, but as we reduced the price, there was some impact to their commission that they were going to earn. But that was honestly a smaller impact to them than the bonus they could make if they sold it for more. It was teaching the attitude that if you can sell it for a little bit more, it's really in your best interest. So it became a mentality and a process rather than a reward and penalty.
Mark, Ed, is there much travel involved? And if yes, are you doing anything to compensate him for travel or entertaining his potential clients?
The answer to the question, I'll take the second part first, which is the entertainment. We have given him no budget for entertaining, and in fact, I haven't even broached the entertainment subject. And that's been on purpose, simply because I sort of want to see what he might choose to bring to the table. It will give me the opportunity to sort of see what his judgment is. And again, because he, for practical matters, has no real sales experience, I wasn't necessarily interested in putting something in his head until he thought about it, or until he was faced with those decisions. In terms of the travel, we're in a little bit of a unique position, which is that I had an extra vehicle. There was a personal vehicle of mine that's worth nothing. It has well over 250,000 miles on it. It's an old Nissan Maxima that we transferred to the company, and we wrapped it so that it would be